Welcome back to Precision Riflecraft, and thank you for joining me. In episode 2, we talked about how the prone position is the most stable and desirable position for long-range precision shooting, but in real-world conditions it does introduce a number of problems, the most common of which, of course, is ground cover. Foliage is a recurring problem when shooting from the prone position, and we've come to a really beautiful place here, which I do enjoy coming to. Unfortunately, I don't get to come here very often. It's been a while, it's been at least a year, and I'm really glad to be back. Really happy to bring you here because it's a beautiful place to shoot, and it is the grasslands of the BC interior here in British Columbia, Canada. What we have here is we've set up a 511 meter range to a steel gong, and we have two rifles. If you're a fan of shooting in wide open places, you've come to the right place. If you've ever wondered what effect shooting through grass might have on your bullet and on your rifle's performance, you've definitely come to the right place. And if you're a fan of Sako rifles and Night Force optics, you've really come to the right place. So let's have a look around here. Another thing I touched upon in episode 2 is how difficult it can be to find places to do this kind of shooting. This is one of those gems here in the BC interior where you can really stretch things out if you take the time to hike around and explore. As you can see, there's potential here for some pretty tremendous yardage. We've shot out to about 1,400 meters here, and we know that there's there are areas where you can shoot a little farther. The hills just roll, and you have this beautiful grassland, and it's mostly public land. It's crown land, as we refer to it in Canada. There is an adjoining property here, which is private land, but everything on this side is public land, and it's legal to shoot here. So we're going to experiment with shooting through grass with two Sako TRG rifles. This is a 20-inch 308 with a Night Force ATACR 5-25 by 56 in the second focal plane. And this is the king of the castle. This is a 26-inch 6.5 Creedmoor, which is quite rare in a Sako TRG, with a Night Force ATACR 7-35 by 56 in the first focal plane. Now these two rifles have somewhat mysterious origins. It is said that a creature named the Stik was born into this world with a one in each hand. He was born with a Sako TRG in each hand. And I met him here the first time I came here. He's a little strange. He's not very helpful in the way of conversation, but he's a hell of a shooter. So we've brought him out for this episode. We've summoned him from the earth to ring some steel. He is literally our ringer for this episode. He's going to do all the shooting, and I'm going to do a little bit of talking, not too much, I promise. And what we're going to do here is we're going to start out with shooting the 308 through a section of grass we've cleared. We're eliminating grass here, and we're going to get a baseline by shooting a group at 511 meters to see how we do, and from there we'll put the 308 behind the grass and shoot another group and see if it opens up at all. Low right. Excellent. Repeat. All right, so here we are at the target, looking back toward our FP, our firing position. And over here is our steel gong that our ringer rang 3 times. And his group size, it's low and to the right, so we're going to get him to correct, I think, for the next group with 1 click to the left. But in any case, here we go. We got about 4 inches center to center is our group size. So let's give it the Mako quality paint job and get on with the show. So here's where the fun stuff begins. We got the TRG in the grass. This is still the 308, and I tried to take a photo through the scope to show you just what the Stik sees. I mean, who knows what he sees? I don't even know if he sees in color, but you can see how much grass is in front of the scope. It was a bit difficult getting the focus right, but it does give you some idea of what we're dealing with here. And we are sitting very low in the grass here, so he's well concealed from any of the positions around here. Of course, you're looking at him very closely and you can clearly see him, but honestly, when I step back about 20 feet there, about 6-7 meters, I couldn't see him at all. So here we go with a 308, 20-inch 308 Sako TRG at 511 meters shooting through the grass. Miss, high right. Miss, high right. So what do you think, Stik? Do you think it's, are you able to see the target clearly despite the grass? You can't see it clearly. You see it better than 50%? Better than 60%? He doesn't seem sure. So about 55%. Okay, good. So you got about 55% visibility of the target. Let's see here. Do you want to try to send 3 more? Hit center low. Hit center. Hit low left. All right, so here's the outcome of the 2 attempts to shoot the 308 from behind the grass. That first attempt scored only 1 hit, and here's why I wasn't able to see it on the spotting scope. We just hit the edge, just barely hit the steel plate, and that wasn't really visible from that distance, from 511 meters. So his second attempt, once the stick got comfortable, he put in a really good performance, scoring a 3-round group here that is 5¼ inches in size from center to center, and that is a 31% increase from his earlier group shooting without the grass. All right, so now we got the 6.5 Creedmoor out, and the wind is starting to pick up a little bit, which is quite typical of this place. Generally, as the temperature increases during the day, the wind picks up, and we've actually gotten really lucky today because this is a place that is notorious for winds. I mean, if you want to learn how to shoot in the wind, long range, this is the place to come. But today we're shooting for groups, which is a little unusual. I mean, generally we come out here to ring steel and make wind calls and hone those skills. Generally groups are for the range, right? They're for zeroing and load development. But today, of course, we are shooting groups, and we're lucky that the wind is cooperating, which is to say it hasn't showed up for the most part. It is starting to pick up a little bit now. We're getting little gusts of breeze that come and go. But as you know, of course, the 6.5 Creedmoor will cope with that wind much better, so that's the main reason we shot the 308 first. And you know, as expected, right now as I say this, we're getting a bit of a breeze coming through here now, and we're gonna shoot a 3-round group with the 6.5 Creed and see how it does with no grass in its way. The stick is about to shoot over this area we've cleared. Hit, location unclear. Hit, location unclear. 1 more, please. All right, so a bit surprisingly, the 6.5 Creedmoor has put in a decidedly poorer performance when compared to either of the groups shot with the 308. We got about a 7.5-inch group here. So that's what that looks like, and not sure what to attribute that to. Maybe it's the little bit of variable wind we're getting, or maybe the stick is getting tired. I don't think it's that. It's my understanding he doesn't sleep at all, as in ever. But, you know, it is what it is. It's a Sako TRG 6.5 Creedmoor with a 26-inch barrel, and we got a 7.5-inch group at 511 meters shooting with no grass in the way. All right, so now we got the 6.5 Creedmoor set up behind the grass, and the wind has died down for the most part. It's kind of coming and going. It does tend to be variable, as I mentioned before. That's sort of the tendency we found over years of coming here. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this group was better than the one without the grass in the way. You know, it just tends to happen that way when you get these variable winds. That's the feeling I got. So maybe Stik can nod or shake his head, let us know if the sight picture is it better than the 308 behind the grass? Worse? Better? Is it better? It's better. So the last one you said is about 55% visible. Is this better than 60% visible? So about 60% visible. Okay, so you got a slight improvement in visibility relative to the 308 behind the grass. And we're going to send 3 downrange and see how we do relative to that 7.5-inch group we just shot with this rifle without any grass in the way. Hit low center. Hit appears to be right edge, lower right. And one more. Miss right center. All right, so here are those 2 hits. Funnily enough, they are exactly 7.5 inches apart. There you have it, 7.5 inches apart, same as the previous group, except of course it's not 7.5 inches. It's you know, probably over a foot or more, who knows, but we had one bugger off in this direction, and we had two on target and 1 off. So yeah, you know, it's I'm not sure what it is. We're apparently having issues with this rifle, but the 308 did quite well, and yeah, we'll head back to our firing position and have a little chat to close this off. So as it happens, the footage I shot back at our firing position had an issue. So I'm back here in Vancouver, and I thought I'd do a little wrap here not far from home. Obviously we're having an issue with the 6.5, and we've ruled out the usual suspects. We know it's not the ammunition because it's being fed the same precision hand loads as the 308. They're loaded to very, very fine tolerances using Reading competition dies, seeding the bullets in 2 stages to within 1,000th of an inch, all that good stuff. And we know it's not the torque specs. We know that the rings and the action screws are also torqued to specs, so everything's copacetic there. My suspicion is with that Night Force optic. It's far more complicated than the barrel to action, so it's much more likely to be the cause of the problem than the rifle itself. But yeah, I think the reasonable conclusion that can be drawn from all this is that, like rain, grass affects the shooter and not the bullet. Now, I know that somewhere out there's going to be someone saying that, you know, well, those 143 grain ELBXs that the 6.5 is spitting out can't cope with the obstacle of the grass, whereas those heavier 308 bullets, which are 168 grain AMAXs, they have, you know, they're better able to deal with that. But, you know, I should tell you that I'm not a ballistician, I'm just a trigger puller. But I really don't think that's the case when you consider the gas energy that's coming out of that muzzle. I don't think that grass has any effect on the bullet. I think to the extent that it affects the point of impact, it's because it affects the shooter. You know, the Stik reported only 55% target visibility with that 308, and yet his groups opened up 31%. So I think that's a pretty good result, and we can see that grass provides a terrific concealment, but it also affects the sight picture for the shooter, and to the extent that it occludes the target, it affects your point of impact, but not because of any external ballistic issues, but simply because of the difficulty it introduces to the shooter. So I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed that. We had a good time filming it. I'm glad we filmed it when we did, because now there's a heat wave setting in. Today we're going to break record temperatures here in Vancouver. It's going to hit 40 degrees Celsius. And yeah, if you enjoyed what you saw, please consider subscribing and maybe sharing the video with your friends, hitting that like button, and hopefully we'll see you again next time.